What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, your Green Bay Packers podcast, a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. As always, I am your host, Numac, coming back to your podcast feeds again with a preview pod this week for the New Orleans Saints as they come up marching into town to face the Packers in their home opener. But joining me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, doing well.
Good. Good. Kind of had some a couple good days off from Sunday's disastrous ending.
Yeah, we tend to cool off. Let the you know competitive juices just ease, temper boy.
I didn't love
Um,
Of course, we had to hand out some cheeses from Sunday's game against the Falcons before we move on. This week, significantly easier to hand out three cheeses to the team as opposed to the week one win against the Bears. Before we get into who actually got them, I think the only person I think we agreed easily on all three. The only person that could have maybe, just maybe gotten a cheese was punter Daniel Whalen.
he booted it. He booted it.
He booted and scooted it, some might say. Daniel Whalen having three long, pretty booming punts. I think I saw somewhere that he was like the fifth ranked punter according to PFF through 2 games thus far this season. Can't confirm that without. I think it might have been Zach Cruz that had sent that out, but I forget.
I can look that up while you look up his stats.
Yeah, I'm trying to find his. He doesn't have a picture on PFF, so that's how you know he's the realist. Um, Player grades. Player grades. He has 9 punts, tied for ninth. Punt gross average is also tied for ninth at 49 yards, almost 50, and as long as 68th. That is a booming punt.
Fifth ranked punter
Yep,
according to PFF.
perfect. I
You know
can't.
who's sixth?
I'm guessing he. I no, I don't.
Old friend
Pat
Corey Borges.
Vahorkas.
Remember him?
Yeah,
Borkies?
yeah. No, it's Vahorkas, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two punters ago, basically. The Packers punters, two punters ago.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. PFF is doing the stupid thing where you can't see the full yardage, so we'll just move on from Daniel Whalen.
Yeah.
Anyways, good punter. Hopefully, he maintains that efficiency and powerful leg throughout the season because it seems like they might need him at some points. But our three Packers that received cheeses this week, first and foremost, is Jordan Love earning his first one of the season. 14 for 25, 151 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 2 carries for 23 yards for a PFF grade of 65.9.
Oh, those Jordan Love PFF grades.
There's I don't know why they keep like just moving back and forth like they do. Like they keep coming up not that, like not what it was, and then they get moved higher. Like was this last week and this week it's done that.
Yeah, this week more egregiously. I think it was like probably like 5, 6 percentage points.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, very obvious. He's been very efficient, at least in terms of touchdown rate, passer rating. Again, leading the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there are some things to work on, but Jordan Love, he's been getting the ball in the end zone. That's the name of the game, isn't it?
That is the name of the game.
Yeah.
According to Wes, how do you say his last name? Like I've never said it out
Oh,
loud.
Hodkiewicz?
Hodkowitz,
Hodkiewicz?
Wes Hod. He's the senior writer for the Packers. Tweeted out this morning, this morning, that Jordan Love is the fourth QB in the last 10 years to have 3+ passing touchdowns and no interceptions in the first 2 games of the season. The others were Patrick Mahomes twice, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning
Never
in
heard of any of them.
18, 19, 15, and 14. So pretty good company if we are cherry picking stats like that.
Yes, we are.
So
I love it.
I think the context of who they play for and where they are in their careers is a little better, but I'm not upset at the stat. So moving on to the next cheese-worthy Packer, obviously Quay Walker. 17 tackles, 8 of those are solo, 4 pressures and 1 QB hit, and 4 stops, which is a PFF stat, I believe. In coverage, he had 6 targets, 6 receptions for 55 yards. Not too bad for a middle linebacker, but what can you do? But yeah, Quay Walker having his second year jump quite early on and doing it quite impactfully.
Yeah, we talked about it after the game on Sunday. Um, this defense performance would have looked a lot worse if Quay Walker didn't have a Herculean performance, making sure that big plays were limited, making sure guys got tackled, which was a big problem, obviously. Like, and ultimately, like, having seen people tweet out film clips and everything like that, he was one of the few guys that like gave a shit. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, there were like, it was just effort plays, and he's everywhere. There's no question to his athletic abilities and just the reactionary skills that he has. Like the fact that you can expect him to be a good coverage guy, even though you look at 6 targets for 6 catches and everything like that. He's still limited in big plays. That is still important for this Packers defense, especially when their ground game was just. I mean, I don't know if we probably touched on it well at the time, but like they they just got annihilated by Bijan Robinson, his second NFL game of his
Yeah,
career. And it was
yeah,
like
he torched him.
he torched him with a big old flamethrower. Um,
Every angle of that double jump cut he had is disgusting. Like they had the one where it was like almost like the bird's eye view of it. I was like, man, that's gross.
yeah, he's a Hall of Famer already. Honestly, he has like that level of skills. Anyway, Quay Walker would have made Sunday a bigger, or without having Quay Walker, which was a question around this time last week.
Yep.
That would have made it a massacre if they did
Mm-hmm.
not have him, and he did everything in his power to make it basically a one-score game. Like that again, everything was in the Packers taking. They didn't take it, but Quay Walker did his damnedest to do everything possible to limit the firepower.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Third Packer receiving a cheese is Jaden Reed. Career day for Jaden Reed. His second game as a Packer. 6 targets, 4 catches, 37 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Really showing off his speed this game, running in motion on his little touch pass from Love around the end, as well as just cutting over the middle. I think was it over the middle was his other touchdown? I'm trying to remember if it was. I forget.
I keep forgetting this one, and I
Yeah.
don't know why. I think it was. It
No,
was like a little.
but is this one where he stepped on the pylon? Or is that the first one?
Yes, he like.
Yeah. Regardless, highest graded Packer this week at 82.9. So when this team's receiving core is going to be healthy, dude, it might be this week, as we'll get into, but he'll be into the mix for sure. I think he'll have opportunities to really break away some good receptions with his speed and with cornerbacks occupying other receivers on the Packers side of the ball. So it'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah, he gave. We knew that he will give this Packers offense different dimensions. Just gave him the ball. We saw it Sunday. He powered the offense in different ways, especially when they needed it. Not too dissimilar to Romeo Dobbs' performance in week one,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously there was a lot more deserving candidates that Romeo Dobbs was on the cutting room floor in terms of cheese-worthy performances. Jaden Reed gets the benefit of a game that had gone south, literally, because they played in Atlanta, and just the result. But yeah, Jaden Reed, great, highest graded Packer, all that good stuff. So very excited what he could do this week, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Possibly. So, with all of that being said, let's jump right into the Saints game and sort of the in between that's happened since then. Obviously, on Sunday, uh, as the game was starting up, it came out that Dave Bakhtiar wasn't playing. This coming after week 1 when Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles at MetLife Stadium on the turf. We all saw David Bakhtiari's comments on the turf. He doesn't play. People speculate, us included. A lot of the media speculates. A whole lot of fans speculate, claiming that David Bakhtiari wasn't playing because of the turf field. Well, today, Wednesday, David Bakhtiari was in the locker room talking with the media scrum. I don't know. Did you see the video, Jordan?
No, I did not.
There's a video of a lot of his quotes that we're about to talk about here from Bill Huber's article on SI.com. There was the definition of a scrum at his locker. There was a lot of people, a lot of media members looking to talk to David Bakhtiari. So let's get into it. David Bakhtiari, obviously, what is it, 3 years ago now? Tore his knee up a bunch.
2.5.
2.5. Tore
Approaching 3.
Yeah, tore his knee up a bunch in practice, right? That's where it happened. And then the fallout from that was him missing missing the rest of the regular season, playing one game, I think, in the playoffs, or playing week 16 or 17 against the Lions, if my memory serves me correctly. And then missing the playoff game, missing all of the next year. And then, no, I'm going about this wrong. You got to correct me.
You're kind of like
My backwards?
confused. So it was the start of the playoff run in 2020, the COVID year.
Okay.
They beat Rams.
The Rams, yes.
They play the Buccaneers. We know how that ended. Bakhtiari missed all of that. Missed all of the next season, save for that Lions game.
Got it. I had it backwards.
I think.
Yeah.
And then another year of speculation. Missed the first 2 games of last year. And then missed definitely the London game and something else, some other game, because he only played 12.
Got it. So, all that being said, his knee is still pretty fucked. And when talking with the media, Bakhtiari said this after the drama that ensued. I'm going to read 2 quotes from David Bakhtiari, and then we'll paraphrase the rest of the article because it's just, we don't want to steal, one, we don't want to steal all of Bill Huber's article. 2, it's a lot of what has already been said in the Twitter sphere and the Packers fan sphere. So, David Bakhtiari to the media today, quote, "If I wasn't going to play on turf, I'd probably make more of a ruckus. My brother Eric loves drama, and he told me he was going to do it, and I'm like, go right ahead. I don't give a shit. I don't care what you do. It's your social media. No, that was not the reason at all. I clearly have an injury I've been dealing with." End quote. And then he said some more, and then this is a new quote. Quote, "You think I don't want to play? You think I want to be a great football player and then just disappear? Heck no. I appreciate General Manager Brian Gutekunst. We've had plenty of talk. He's been amazing with me, even being there for me to vent about it. It's just been extremely stressful, but on the human side, just been sitting here quietly and saying whatever it is. I just have to take it for what it is." So, end quote. Clearly, this is just his knee being, I guess, fickle is the word I'm going to say. He mentioned it later on that when his knee hits a limit, like that's it. Like he just can't play on it. It doesn't have to do with turf. From what he's making it seem like, it doesn't have to do with a natural grass field. It just is, I'm guessing, workload and maybe if it's raining or if he slept on it wrong. Like I think that might,
or air travel, which is why he didn't play the London game.
Right. It just might be these little things that happen day to day. Obviously the rain and the slept on it wrong is a joke, but I think it really is that wishy-washy of whether or not his knee is good to go that day. Some days, like you and I know that some days you just wake up and stuff hurts. And when you're a professional athlete playing NFL football, you're going to wake up and hurt a lot of the time. And with the stress that knee has gone under for the better part of the last 10 years with the injuries and just the workload it has, because if I'm not mistaken, it's his left knee, which is the outside knee of when he's backpedaling and pass protection. It's a lot of pressure on that knee, dude. Like, it's just, I think, what we're going to have to deal with as fans for the next, at least, I'd assume, 15 games. And possibly more if they don't trade him next year. But I think it's something that's just going to be on the injury report, similar to how he and EJ were last year.
Yeah, it's this is nothing new. Um, what may be new is his brother being kind of just stupid.
Yeah, yeah, stirring the pot for no reason.
Starting the pot for no reason, which kind of seems like it's in the Bakhtiari family.
Just maybe.
Just maybe. He also made mention that he would never leave his teammates out to dry, which again, I don't really think that was ever a question. Like, yeah, I mean, like they're as plugged into what's going on with David Bakhtiari as anybody, and it does. Again, it doesn't really matter to us. Or the only people that matters that if he's out there, how they feel is the people that are in that locker room, how we react to everything, and just the kind of coy nature of how everything's being dealt or what's being said or what we are insinuating. Because obviously, you see Aaron Rodgers go down with his this catastrophic injury. It's played on a wet turf field, one of the worst, if not the worst, surfaces in the NFL.
Hmm.
And naturally, when you see Bakhtiari on the injury report, Sunday morning, it's reported that he's not going to play. You make this causation correlation stuff, and it you. It's just funny how football does this because we lose sight of the bigger picture where it's like we focus on these little things because so many things can just go wrong at any second rather than like let's take this for what it is. David Bakhtiari has not been a fully healthy football player for a very long time, and we knew that going into the season. We'll know that when he leaves as a Packer, whatever that is, and maybe whatever other team that he plays for, if he continues his NFL career outside of Green Bay, maybe they handle it differently. But with the Green Bay Packers, they're going to be conservative. They're going to protect their investment in David Bakhtiari because he is their highest paid player on the team that is playing for the team currently. And um and when healthy, he's an all pro level athlete, player, whatever you want to call him. It's that simple. And I think we just kind of, judging from a lot of the reaction, which I'm sure I definitely felt at the time, and I'm not going to say that I don't feel moving forward. It's justified to be angry or just be mystified by it because neither you don't hear anything from himself going into the game or because he's not practicing. You don't hear anything, just someone being straight up with you like Matt LaFleur, who kind of plays this game of saying very little, but the other day he says this is what it's going to be like. We all know it's going to be like this moving forward, or paraphrasing what it was, but like he essentially said that this is how it is with David Bakhtiari, and we're just going to have to deal with it, and that is going to cost games. Simple fact. It did not cost the game Sunday, but that's neither here nor there.
Right. David Bakhtiari being out didn't cost them the game on Sunday, but a slew of other factors did. But I think and I don't want to spend too much longer on this because it is so drawn out,
We'll
but
probably go through it
a
later
lot
this
this season.
season.
I think a good way to think about it is that a lot of casual Packers fans, like 9 times out of 10, if you're listening to this podcast, you are more dedicated to a sport. And this is for any show, even on GSPN or any sports podcast. If you're listening to a sports podcast, you are more than likely not a casual sports fan. You are a dedicated sports fan
100%.
and just you're invested in sports. There are guys just being dudes out there. There are women just being fellas out there that don't listen to podcasts and just watch the game on Sunday and wonder where David Bakhtiari is. And people get frustrated, ourselves included, when they don't see the guy out there that's getting paid as much as he is not playing. And there's a lot of nuance to this, and I think there's just a lot of frustration from Packers fans being unable to adjust their expectations from what they were last year and saying that David Bakhtiari needs to be out there every single game so that the Packers have a chance to win and make the playoffs. When in reality, he needs to be out there when healthy so that he can be there for next year when they're when I think they're a lot better and have a better chance of making the playoffs. Like I'm I think people are just frustrated by the fact that the saga behind David Bakhtiari is still going on. Like going into when the injury first happened, big punch to the gut in Packers fans during a Super Bowl contending season, and it's just like, oh, okay, well we'll get him next year. We'll get him next year. We'll get him back, and that'll be that. He doesn't come back the next year, and it's another letdown season. Then he comes back last year, is out again randomly at times, and I think just the unreliability that most Packers fans have with David Bakhtiari is causing the frustration. Is like it's not anything personal. It's the fanatic part of being a fan coming out and getting mad at a guy who's immeasurably more frustrated with this process and this timeline since he's injured himself than we could possibly be.
I know you just already just said that you don't want to dwell on this, but I have a very key point.
Yeah, we can keep going. I just don't want to spend
I
another
know
20
we won't.
minutes on it.
Yeah, of course. I think one of the biggest differences in this whole saga versus if we'll see with Aaron Rodgers, just using him as an example. We all saw Aaron Rodgers get hurt on that Monday Night Football game. We did not see David Bakhtiari get hurt.
Right.
It was during practice, behind closed doors. Everything that he has gone through in his rehab, the subsequent um the setback, I'm forgetting what it technically was, but there was another tear
Yeah.
coming back in some way, whatever medical distinction was. That was also during practice or during his rehab and everything like that. It is a much different experience knowing that, like, we just saw Nick Chubb's leg just get just demolished.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, yeah, he's going to be out for a long time. And that, more like, God bless him, and hopefully he comes back, as good as he is, because he's a very good football player. But it's a different feeling seeing that on your TV screen when this is a game that just, it's carnage, literally every play. And some plays, all players make it out safe, and some plays, a guy might be down and might be, his career might be significantly altered or finished altogether. We are just used to that. So when you see someone on your TV get hurt in a very significant way, you understand that. When you don't see that, it's a harder bet to make for some people, or not bet to make, but harder agreements.
It's
or
hard to
whatever.
understand what
Yeah,
happened.
and I understand being frustrated by that. By also, David Bakhtiari he's an NFL player. He wants to be out there. He is suffering in silence, and it's not very easy to just be like, "This is what it's like." And if people don't understand that, then so be it. But like, and that is very much his position. But it doesn't change the fact that there are going to be times where he's just not going to play, and it sucks. But that's what happens when you go through these injuries.
Yep. Exactly. I think you put it perfectly in that since people didn't see it, they don't know the extent of it. It could have been a very bad injury. I don't think it was. I'd hope it wasn't as bad as Nick Chubb's on Monday night, but he's an offensive lineman playing the toughest position on the line
Yeah.
and at an all-pro level. Like there's a lot of stress on that knee, and it could have been enough to where it's just that knee isn't as structurally sound as it was pre-injury, and when that happens, it's tough to come back from that when you put a lot of pressure on that knee. And so, yeah, I think it's gonna be a long season, like a season long thing. I just hope that the Packers fans, and not to say the media, but that reporters just kind of state that, hey, he's out this week with the knee, and don't like mitigate and try and analyze and talk about it all season long. Like I think we've hopefully got most of that out this past week.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So that's that. Shall we move on to the actual game, the actual football being played now?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome possum. Packers facing the New Orleans Saints. Some might call them the Aints. Some just maybe might call them Ty Windish's secondary team. Wow.
Oh,
Wow. Alas, Packers lead the series 17-10, and their last meeting is in 2021 when the Saints blew the bricks off of the Packers 38-3 in Jacksonville when the Saints were displaced because of Hurricane Ida. Saints are 2-0 this season after having beat the Titans in week 1 16-15 in an atrocious game and then beat the Panthers 20-17 in another atrocious game, both of which were at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, if not mistaken. So, yeah, they were both at home.
I think week 1 was, week 2 was not.
I don't know. I thought for sure I saw that dark ass.
Saints have a type, by the way.
They have a type.
Yeah, atrocious games.
Yeah, they do. I could have swore I saw the ugly. Oh, it wasn't the Panthers. My bad. I thought I saw the ugly tone of the inside of the Superdome. It's so dark in there that you can tell anytime they play at home.
It is. Panther Stadium, though, it's... why am I getting caught up in this?
Anyways, at home versus the Titans, on the road versus the Panthers. Won both games, 2-0, coming up to Lambeau Field. I'm trying to think of they met between 2021 and 2011, but 2011 is when the Packers opened up their season against the Saints, and Randall Cobb ran that touchdown back for the opening kickoff. So, a couple of Saints. That's a better Saints memory than the 38-3 loss that Jawan Johnson and company held. Gave to the Packers. Remember that? Remember Jawan Johnson? He was going to be the next wide receiver tight end super combo for fantasy, and then was never heard from ever again.
You gotta love those week 1 wonders.
Gots to. So that's where the Saints are coming in, riding their strong defense. The injury report: David Bakhtiari, vet rest for his knee. Aaron Jones did not participate for his hamstring, and Elton Jenkins did not practice due to his knee as well. EJ.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you were about to say it.
EJ
Yeah,
out.
I was like,
Yeah. EJ out for a while. I'd probably say at least a month, probably, with his knee. Did they give a actual? I think not. They didn't. I thought he said. I saw MCL somewhere, but
I think. Oh, I thought you were talking about timeline. I think it's just a sprained MCL, and
yeah,
I've seen a lot of historical timelines have been like 2 to 4 weeks.
yeah.
That might be more. I would agree with you. I think it's more on the safer side and longer side.
Yeah, Rob Dombrowski said on Monday that EJ has a sprained MCL in his left knee and is in a sizable brace, but does not think his season's over. Yeah, we'll just go with that. So doesn't think his season over is definitely concerning. Like, doesn't think could mean he's out to like week 15, 16, which is the better part of 3.5 months, which kind of tracks. If it's a knee ligament and a sprain, like, you gotta be 100% healthy to go run out there on a sprained knee, as one that he's already recovered from. I forget if it was left or his right, but he's already had a knee surgery and recovery.
I'm gonna look that up, and I couldn't find it.
But regardless, he knows how these things work, so he probably has a better idea of when he'll be coming back than most do. Limited in practice was Lucas Van Ness with an elbow injury. He did end up coming back in the game on Sunday against the Falcons wearing a pretty big brace while he was back in, but he still played nonetheless. Limited and not a DMP is wide receiver Christian Watson. He went through some drills today.
Thank God.
Thank God is right. That would be nice to have him make his season debut at home like he did last year.
Yeah.
So here's to hoping that he can go this week and have here's to hoping him and Aaron Jones can go this week and have a full offensive regime against this pretty stout Saints defense. And a full participant in practice was punter Daniel Whelan, who had a finger injury apparently. I don't know how you injure your finger as a punter, but maybe he kicked it.
Well, catching the snap.
I mean, I guess.
Jam finger.
If you're jamming fingers as a punter as the NFL dude, like I jammed fingers as a kid.
The wrong line of work.
Right. I was jamming fingers on catching basketballs as a kid because I was uncoordinated. But like, I feel like if you're a punter, you shouldn't be jamming fingers anymore.
You probably do punter, like if you're punting through the off season, you're probably doing it through like the jugs machine because there's not going to be someone snapping all
right.
the time.
and those things fire him. Like you should be able to. Whatever. Who knows how it happened? Regardless.
Yeah.
For the Saints, near dear friend of the pod, Jamal Williams, hurt his hamstring against the Panthers and is going to be out this week, which is sad. We want to see Jamal Williams have success. At least I do. I love Jamal Williams. Don't need to see him run over the Packers again, but sad that he's hurt nonetheless.
He did during week 18 last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
and then Foster Moreau has an ankle injury. He was a DMP as well. Taysom Hill has a knee injury. He's limited, and then Kendre Miller, their third string rookie running back, had a hamstring injury that kept him out of games 1 and 2, and he is a full participant. I saw a push notification today that they expect a full go from Kendre Miller this week, so he'll make his NFL debut, and he is like the heir apparent to Alvin Kamara, who is suspended. He has his last game to serve this game against the Packers, so he'll be back next week. So, talk about the matchup. Going in now that we got injuries covered. The biggest thing, as it will be every week for the Packers, is getting after the quarterback. Saints have allowed the most sacks through the first 2 weeks of the season at 8. But it's not Ryan Ramczyk's fault. Ryan Ramczyk, former Badger, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's right. Ryan Ramczyk has not allowed a sack since week 6 of last season. That is bonkers.
That's pretty
That's
good.
a pretty sustained level of excellence from Ryan Ramczyk. But yeah, big week for Devontae Wyatt and Kenny Clark, as the Saints' interior defensive line is just getting pummeled out there. Cesar Ruiz ranks 72nd out of 75 guards in the NFL so far this year. That is what we would call ungood.
Should correct a stat that I included on there. The Saints have not allowed the most sacks.
Okay.
They've allowed a lot, but it's not the Texans level, which is 11.
Jeez. So is it second most?
No, not even second. It's 7th. I don't know where I saw that it was league leading, but that was my fault, so I'm just going to own up to it.
Not a problem.
Throw tomatoes.
Not a problem. Big tomato throw in action. But no.
Tomato.
Still, 4 sacks a week, essentially. 8 in 2 weeks is a lot compared to Jordan Love, who I think was sacked. Is it once or nuts? Twice?
Once a week.
I don't remember either one, which is weird. Are we counting sacks as tackled out of the pocket, like scrambling behind the line of scrimmage? They probably do, but like
I think so. I still have the list.
I can't remember. I can't remember when he got sacked in the pocket.
Oh.
I don't know. Any who's will be. I think that'll be the biggest, like the interior defensive line and the defensive line in general is going to be pretty huge this week because of that lack of running back talent that they're currently experiencing with their injuries and Alvin Kamara suspension. Like the Saints running back room, when healthy, was a dangerous one. Then like when everyone was playing, between Alvin Kamara as your like specialist jump cut, just all pro level running back, paired with Jamal Williams, who is there somewhat of a bruiser and obviously goal line back after his record-setting season last year, and then having Kendre Miller as a dynamic third string running back. Like their running game was supposed to be really good to start the year once Alvin Kamara got back, and now you throw in Tony Jones, who's their fourth string guy, has 2 touchdowns last week, filling in for Kendre Miller and Jamal Williams. Like, maybe they'll be just fine, but you're relying on an inexperienced guy, and Tony Jones doesn't get a lot of playing time, and now Kendre Miller, who's a rookie. Like the Packers' defensive line and backers have a really good opportunity to just let out some frustrations from last week with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier to really bring it home against the Saints and make Derek Carr beat them, essentially.
Yes. Couple points. I agree with you. Saints clearly don't have the same level of firepower in the backfield Therefore, you would think it's going to be a more of a passing game for them. However, we know this Packers run defense, and
Yeah.
they're on a worse pace than normal. Um, and that's after playing the Bears and Falcons. So, not to like, hey, maybe they finally have it. They're at home. It's a little, they're going to be energized. They're going to be ready to play, especially after losing a heartbreaker last week. Maybe we'll see a more concerted effort to limit the big plays on the ground. I don't know. However, um, yeah, you can't understate the fact that they are probably going to start a rookie running back who has not played so far this year. Um, that that does something. Um, and their offensive line too has it's not. We were very bullish about the Packers' chances against the Falcons' offensive line last week. Sorry,
Hmm.
um, and perhaps we were misled by one game.
You're telling
Of
me we
the
got fooled by a week one performance?
we may have. If there's a theme of this podcast, we love the week one wonders. Um, but the Saints' offensive line has certainly been a problem for quite a while.
Hmm.
At least by like just at attrition. Um, it we've seen the Packers put up different alignments on the line. Guys maybe rush over the center or the guards rather than just keep going on the edge constantly. Um, we know their edge depth. We know that Devontae Wyatt and Kenny Clark can put in big games, even when like last week it was kind of more few and far between. Um, yeah, I would just like to see a lot more energized performance in terms of just getting after it against Carr. I have the stat here: 36 pressures in Week 1 against the Bears, down to 24 last week as a defensive unit.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's not going to do it. Clearly, it
No.
didn't do it last week. So yeah, we would like to see a little bit more from the Packers defensive line and edge rushers.
Ideally, yeah. Like there's gonna be ample opportunity, I think, for the pass rushers to really tee off on this offensive line. They're gonna have to pass the ball to move the ball, I think, is what the theme of this week is going to be. And just as it's a big week for the defensive front to make sure they're stuffing holes for these inexperienced running backs, it's going to be an equally important week for the DBs in the secondary because the Derek Carr is going to have to pass the ball just to move down the field, and they've got a talented wide receiving core between Michael Thomas, who is beginning to look like his old self. Um,
How about someone that has come back from a lengthy rehab?
don't tell me about it. I have him fancy. Week one against the Titans, he had 5 catches for 61 yards. Week two against the Panthers, he had oops, excuse me, wrong tab here. He had 7 catches for 55 yards. So he's clearly getting targeted by Derek Carr. They just throw the ball a lot in general. 36 targets last week against the Panthers for Derek Carr, and then he had again wrong tab 33 throws in week one. Like he just they're going to be a passing team while Alvin Kamara is still out, and so I'm guessing they'll throw Jair on Chris Olave. They'll throw Razul on Michael Thomas because Michael Thomas, big guy. I think he might
Are you
just.
ready for my for the it's worth talking about Chris Olave and Michael Thomas.
Yep.
Do you know who scares the crap out of me?
I read the document, so I do know, but tell the people.
What is his name? Rahid Shaheed?
Yep.
Rashid Shaheed. Are you ready for this?
Go ahead, go for it. Tell the people.
Derek Carr has the most deep passes completed in the air this year. So those are throws of 20 yards or more. He's 7 for 15 on such throws. Um, and Rashid Shaheed is a perfect 4 for 4 on those plays. 127 yards. I believe he even caught a touchdown on one of those in the Titans game.
Maybe.
Um,
No. Or yes, in the Titans game.
uh, Keyshawn Nixon has his work cut out for him hasn't really had like he's had some tests, but like this guy isn't can turn on the afterburners, and we know Keyshawn Nixon can too, but it's a different level of speed and threats and the ways that the Saints, offensively, it's been kind of uh helter skelter. They're getting through it even without Alvin Kamara, but they have drawn up plays to get him open, and obviously they've hit these home run plays.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm a Packers fan, which I am, I am afraid that that is how they overcome maybe not having their X factors like Alvin Kamara or even Jamal Williams, as we thought going into this game a couple weeks ago.
Right. Week one against Titans, 5 catches on 6 targets for 89 yards and a touchdown. His longest catch was of 41 yards. Last week against Carolina, 4 for 4, 63 yards with 45 of those yards coming on one pass. So yeah, he's a burner. I think he is their Jaden Reed of sorts for them. Like
Yes.
Chris Olave is gonna be Christian Watson, Michael Thomas is Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed is Rashid Shaheed. Same kind of idea. Like he's getting a lot of looks because the top 2 corners just have to look at Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. But now that you're putting your nickel corner on Rashid Shaheed, he's gonna get looks, and he's getting a lot of looks so far. Like these top 3 receivers for the Saints are just having great seasons through 2 games. Like Chris Olave is having
Mhm.
a nice season as well so far, pretty much leading their team, I think, in yards as well as just general catches as well. As I pull up his stats for the year so far, uh, week 1, 8 for 10, 112 and no touchdowns. Week 2, 6 receptions on 11 targets for 86 yards. Similar long balls in both games. 45 and 42 were his longest. So they chuck it downfield, and they've got receivers that can catch it.
Yep.
14 receptions, 198 yards through 2 games. It's pretty darn good. Pretty
Yeah.
darn good. That's like up there with Puka, who's blowing up the NFL right now. Like up there, Justin Jefferson. Like they just these young guys are really really good right now for in the receiving core across the NFL. And Chris Olave is for sure one of the top young guys right now. So yeah, Jair, good luck, pal. You're gonna need it.
Yes.
He's fast. He's not as tall as Drake London or Michael Thomas. He's 6 feet. So only 2 inches on Jair, but hopefully Jair can press him. And I know like old man screams at cloud asking Jair to press a receiver, but would you rather be against Michael Thomas, Jair at 6'3", 210? Like get up in his
Yeah.
grill, dog.
Those are bigger
Those are
bodies.
bigger bodies. So yeah, I think this week's gonna come down to the interior defensive line not letting inferior running backs get big yards, and the secondary limiting those big plays that the Saints are very good at.
Yeah.
For the Packers, they have to keep scoring. Have to. You pulled the stat that is impressive, but I give some pushback on. Saints have not allowed more than 20 points since week 10 of last year, which is a long time. It's a long time not allowed more than 20 points, 3 touchdowns. Like, I guess immovable object meets unstoppable force.
Hmm.
Jordan Love scoring 3 touchdowns in a game, and the Saints not allowing 21 points since the middle of last year. So we'll see, kind of thing. But I think it's worth noting that the Saints last year during that stretch played some good offenses, but not like any high-powered offenses for what it's worth.
They're starting to play some NFC South offenses.
Exactly. So week 9 last year they played the Ravens and lost 27-13. And then from then on, like I'd mentioned, they had not allowed 20 points, but they played the Steelers, the Rams, didn't have Stafford, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
I think Cooper Kupp was hurt as well.
Hmm.
San Francisco, who they lost to 13-0. Tampa, the Falcons, the Browns, the Jalen Hurt-less Eagles, and Carolina. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of variance in like the level of talent they were playing. Like they lost to the Buccaneers 17-16, but that's a division game. and you're just gonna play them harder. I think the Saints defense is good. They got a lot of talent on that side of the ball, but I think it's a little column A, a little column B. Like Cam Jordan is a problem.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lattimore is a problem. They still have Tramathayu. Like they got.
Mario
I was just
Davis.
gonna say Demario Davis is there too. Like they've got players on that side of the ball, and I think they're just coached well as well. So I think it'll be important. This is where I really think Aaron Jones being available this week would be a big bump for this offense, because the Falcons defense was not as good as advertised coming in. They played pretty well in the fourth quarter, given that they were resting a lot of the time. But the Packers defense is going to stall at points, and I think it will be more prone to some stalling against this defense in particular. So having Aaron Jones there would be helpful.
Even Christian Watson.
Even
I mean,
Christian Watson.
it looks like we might get that debut, but obviously we'd probably want a little bit more assurance with him practicing the rest of the week. Yeah, I mean the Packers have one of the most efficient offenses in the league, if not the most. It's very close to the Cowboys and just how they've been steamrolling. But a lot of that again is generated through their defense because they have been just so dominant on that side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Love again, all he can do is throw touchdowns and complete like less than 60% of his passes, but we'll take
Yeah.
it for right now. Um, and the Saints have only allowed one touchdown for this season, and that came in garbage time against the Panthers last week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I am very, very. My guard is a little bit more up than last week, and it was already pretty up with how the Falcons looked and everything like that going into it. Like, look at their secondary, Jesse Bates in particular. When you look at all phases of all three lines of the Saints defense, they have at least like an all pro level player at each line, whether it's Cam Jordan or their defensive line is pretty damn good too.
Yeah.
Mario Davis has been kind of criminally underrated as a linebacker for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Marshawn Lattimore is probably one of the best cornerbacks in the league, if not the best.
Has been for a
Um,
while.
yeah, like, and Dennis Allen is a defensive minded coach, and kind of certainly shows in some of the score lines that they've had.
Yep.
But still, that is where they make their hay, and it's a different test for a Packers offense that, yes, they haven't had Aaron Jones for 2 or 6 quarters, I should say.
Almost
Christian
7.
Watson's not almost, yeah. Oh, good on that. Christian Watson obviously has not played at all. The rookies are showing out. Romeo Dobbs is doing, positive things, even though you'd like to see it more consistently. They've been able to make do with what they have had, and it's working right now. Are we in the midst of early sample size? Things could fall off a cliff. They're certainly not gonna score at this, efficient clip for the rest of the season. That would be crazy, right? Right?
Right?
But I do think a team like the Saints could really shut the Packers up if they really wanted to, provided that, the other side of the ball is taken care of offensively. But yeah, this is a different test for the Packers, and I'm very intrigued and nervous how they're going to treat this going into it because, like, it's not going to be easy by any means, especially for Jordan Love facing a unit like this.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. I think it'll be a tough game for sure. I think they'll be helped out a lot by coming home. Like I think Lambeau's going to be
Yes,
rocking on Sunday. Hopefully it is. It
I
should
would
be.
hope so.
It should be. So yeah, I think it'll definitely be a tough matchup for sure. That's not to be downplayed whatsoever. But I think what really should help them is having, like you said, an efficient, properly called game. Like I think Matt LaFleur really needs to get sort of in form when it comes to calling a good game and making sure that he's adding some wrinkles to the offense to the point where it's not all on Jordan Love. Because I think if that's the case, it'll be a tough game. But
Mm,
well, I'm not saying like run AJ Dillon a bunch What I'm saying is
Because that's not working.
right, but like he needs to be able to have a an equal mix of easy to complete passes while taking shots. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I saw earlier this week that like Jordan Love's average depth of target is like way down the field. It's high up in the NFL, and he's not getting a lot of like dump off in rhythm passes just to get some confidence under his belt, which I think might need to be the case for these next few games just to get that completion percentage up. Not that completion percentage really matters, but just throw a couple screens, throw a couple short passes over the middle. Like nothing, not everything needs to be down the field, even though that's where the excitement happens in the game. That's kind of what we were asking for last year. But I think it's obviously different circumstances, right? Jordan Love's deep ball isn't exactly as refined as we want it to be, but again, first year starter, I'm not too concerned about it at this point. He's throwing great balls over the middle in that medium depth range. That ball to Samari Toure was really good. He has good accuracy at that 10 to 15 yard range. But getting him some work in the short game and like dump off passes and some easy quick throws like that, I think would work wonders for Love's game and the offense in general, rather than trying to run AJ Dillon in the A gap 3 times in one drive, or throwing it 20 yards down the field to a backpedaling Luke Musgrave or a turned around Romeo Dobbs. Excuse me, that wasn't Romeo Dobbs' fault, but that throw is hard. Are you throwing him deep to keep running, or are you throwing him to the corner to get out of bounds? Like that was a tough throw in the fourth quarter that he had to make, which is to be expected to be made eventually, but not right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I think biggest key of all, and here comes some stats overload. Uh, we saw a fourth quarter of the Falcons game, 3 and outs, 10 plays. Everything about it was abhorrent. um, it's sustaining long drives and getting a mix of. I agree with you. In theory, the Packers' best way to play is that you don't lean on one side of passing all the time. The Mike McCarthy Packers, Aaron Rodgers Packers, when they had Brandon Jackson in the backfield or whatever, um, or leading very heavily on AJ Dillon, just running up the middle and getting 2 or 3 yards, or taking out one of his offensive linemen. um, it's the complementary football that a lot of people have talked about, and I certainly agree that like they just can't lean on one way or the other, and there's different ways to balance that out, and we'll certainly see probably a lot of that at the start of the game. I don't know if we'll see that towards the end of the game, especially if it's close.
Right.
But I guess against the Saints defense, they are one of the best teams in not being on the field that long. They
Yeah.
average 5.3 plays per drive.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
22.8 yards per drive. They have allowed 6 third down conversions on 26 attempts. That's 23.6%.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
That is really crazy, because like that will be, I think, the game on Sunday is, can the Packers put together long drives? And if they can, they'll probably be in a position to win, even if they don't score every drive. But maybe wearing down this defense is what it takes to get to them. Like,
yeah,
I think that'll be something to watch for. That's a good pull, Jordan.
yeah. I think, yeah, I think we know that they can move the ball, and they have not done it with their A and B players. They've done it with rookies. They've done it with second year guys. Um, and they've also had some turnover luck, especially more so in the Bears game than obviously the Falcons game. But they're kind of going into this game the same, theoretically an ideal in the Saints, and it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough in that way, unless if some good luck breaks their way or some bad luck breaks their way, where they're fighting to make hay when they're down by 7 or 14, whatever it is.
Am I reading these last two stats right? Because these are crazy. Jordan came up with these, not came up, but curated these for us. Per Sharp Football Analysis, the Saints have allowed a league low 7.2 quarterback rating on throws 10 or more yards down the field, allowing 8 of 26 attempts to be completed for 119 yards and 3 interceptions.
Warren Sharp.
That's crazy.
Hmm.
Like, that makes my point about trying to get stuff in the short game, like the short passing game, all the more important. Like, if they're limiting that bread and butter area of the field that Jordan Love has had in most of his completed passes on this season, golly, they can't be playing that part of the field a whole lot this week if they're going to have any sort of success. As we talked about, like the deep ball is sort of not there. Good at drawing DPIs, but besides, I think there's only one pass over 20 yards he's had completed.
Yeah.
And then to go along with that, um, 40. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. Or no, the other side of the ball. But regardless, or no, yeah, this is the right side. The Saints have allowed the fourth fewest opponent air yards at 148. Like, and the Packers have been a passing team. They haven't
Hmm.
found success in the run game this season. Like Aaron Jones, I think
Two
his
drives.
yeah, his 3 drives where he was really effective. His first drive, he was effective on the ground, but I think he had 2 receiving touchdowns. Like the first one around the end was a quote unquote pass, and then the second
Yeah,
one was
two rushing and one receiving. Or
I
one
think
rushing and one receiving, sorry.
okay, so yeah, the first one off the end was a rush, and then a short pass over the middle, and he was off for the races.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't have any success last week with AJ Dillon and Emmanuel Wilson, and I'm guessing the Saints are going to assume that that's going to be what the plan is this week, and they'll be planning for the passing attack. And so, yeah, that it's going to be a fun game on Sunday. It's going to be fun. It's going to be hard, I think.
I think a very chess match
Yeah,
kind of thing. Like
yeah,
I don't think it's very. I certainly hope we don't see like a Bijan Robinson type thing. I mean, certainly the Saints have playmakers. We were talking about this before recording. It's not like that they have a so-so offense.
yeah.
They have Chris Olave. Michael Thomas is looking more. He's not going to be all pro level Thomas or Michael Thomas, but he's out there and he's
He's
productive.
back to what he was. He's he was an all-pro receiver. Now he's just a very good wide receiver.
Yeah, Derek Carr can make throws. He's not. He can have some games where he gets picked off and is turnover prone, but he's certainly a more competent quarterback that they have tried out since the last dying embers of Drew Brees' tenure.
Yeah,
Um, Again, Rashid Shaheed is a guy that's going to be probably one to really hone in on because he has the potential to be a backbreaker against this Packers defense. They have weapons like that. It's just a matter of like they haven't really. I mean, look at their scores. They're not. They're winning close games unless if you really don't count that Panthers one when they had a touchdown coming late.
right. For what it's worth, I wonder how good the Saints are at finishing drives because, excuse me, Derek Carr 2 interceptions to 1 touchdown. Like they haven't scored a lot of points either this year.
Mhm.
Like 16 and 20. Like that's not exactly good, and it's not like they're finishing drives on the ground either. I think the only 2 touchdowns on the ground that they have are Tony Jones's ones last week, and then
Yeah,
I think if I'm not mistaken, that math would put one in week 1 from Derek
the
Carr.
Shaheed.
Right, in week 1. So it's not like they're scoring a bunch either. They're just getting chunk plays and not being able to finish them, which I think is the important thing because it's kind of the Bill Belichick way of running a defense is sure, we'll let you take the big plays, get your yardage, but once we get to the red zone, let's play some football. You can't run Chris Olave down the field. You can't run Rashid Shaheed down the field without and use his speed like that. Like you have to be a dynamic play caller and a creative play caller to score on good defenses when in the red zone essentially. And it
Yeah.
maybe just might seem that they don't have that. But I think that'll be something to watch too. Like if they give up a bunch of yards and then buckle down in the red zone, I won't be upset about it. But I think
I,
that was something to look for.
yeah, I mean, we saw the Packers have a goal line stand last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to move the ball; it's another thing to punch it in and operate in short yardage situations, which the Packers have been very good at. They have the
Yeah.
second best red zone offense in the league.
Defense or
So
offense?
offense.
Okay. I didn't know which part you were saying because like we were talking defense and stopping
Oh
them.
yeah,
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were on the
yeah,
same
sorry.
page. No, you're good.
um, yeah, I do think again, it's so easy because that is football games in a nutshell. It's like limiting the big plays, and that's the Vic Fangio style that Joe Barry is supposed to be playing. Blah blah blah. Blah.
Right.
But it's how it's how games are decided with this team, and a lot of it has come on the ground rather than in the air because they have really a good top two cornerbacks when they're engaged and playing well. Um, yeah, but that's what it's going to come down to, and if the weather conditions are good, maybe that has a factor. Or if it's going to be a wet game out there, and the Saints are used to playing, and they're used to playing in the Superdome, um, it might be a different kind of game too. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how the Packers adjust in that sense too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else, Jordan? Or should we get into predictions? We got to keep Jordan Love upright. That's a big thing, but I think we kind of
Of
touched on
course.
that with just the general offensive line and the talent that the Saints have on the defensive line.
Um, I think that's it.
I think
I
so
think
too.
that's it.
Players to watch. I went first last week. Back to
Yes,
you.
you did.
Back to you. You have Cam Jordan, you have Chris Olave, you have Michael Thomas. You have the gamut of two players to pick from.
I think I'm going to call my shot with the Saints. Rashid Shaheed.
All right.
I'm scared to death of him.
That is very
I
funny.
see. I see a very fast slot receiver, and I'm going to focus more on him rather than the guys that are the engine to the offense, like Chris Olave or Michael Thomas. And that's how it is. It's worrying about in an NBA sense, the Fred Van Vliets of the world rather than Kawhi Leonard,
Right.
Kyle Lowry.
It's the role players. It's like worrying about
Yeah, it's a,
you're currently worried about Pat Connaughton.
yeah, yes.
That's just who you're worried about. And frankly,
Mhm.
can you blame? Can I blame you? Not really.
No, no.
Like he's shown out so far this year, and
I mean, we focus on Bijan Robinson and all that stuff. Drake London scored a touchdown,
yeah,
and I mean,
yeah.
he was the kind of the role player in that sense. So, yeah, Rashid Shaheed is my Saints guy to watch out for.
Okay, I'm going my Packer first. Um, I'm picking Rasul Douglas as my player to watch because I think they're going to try and feed Michael Thomas because he is like one of the bigger guys. I think he's the biggest receiver they have, and he's taller than Razul and Jair. And so I think they're going to try and feed him the ball over mismatched corners because he is an athletic human being and has the opportunity to really just moss any receiver that he can get proper positioning on. And so seeing how Razul, hopefully, fingers crossed, pairs up against him is I think is going to be an important thing to watch this game.
I like it. I like it.
Who's your Packer?
I like to kind of look around. I don't want to mention the same names. I'm taking a bet with this one because I think he's ended up going to play, and I think he will make his season debut. Christian Watson, come on, man, we need you.
Yeah,
We're
we need
gonna
him.
need you. We're gonna need you. Yeah, I would certainly hope that he's fully healthy, that they're not going to trot him out, you know, uh, with a gimpy hamstring.
Yeah.
I want to see Chris. I want to see the Christian Watson that we got used to seeing by the end of last year,
Hmm.
and we need that speed threat, some guy to kind of bend the defenses that the Saints can't just kind of bunch it all together and make Jordan Love have to make really tough throws within these very tight windows in the middle of the field. Having a guy like Christian Watson opens up the offense for the Packers, eases Jordan Love's ability to make throws. in tight windows where it's not going to be just, you see multiple defenders in these little, snapshot frames. It takes away guys that can defend different areas of the field.
Right.
And again, against the Saints defense, if it takes away Marshawn Lattimore from a play,
Good.
love it.
Good.
Love it.
Yeah.
Great. Demario Davis, they probably wouldn't throw a linebacker on him.
I hope not.
I hope not too.
Well, no, that's not
Tyrann
true.
Mathieu.
That's not true. I hope they do.
Yeah, I hope that. If they double covered Christian Watson with Tyrann Mathieu or something like that, like
Right.
yeah, I just want to see Christian Watson out there, and I want to see him score his first touchdown on his first catch.
That'd be sweet. That would be sweet. My Saint, I'm going to say, is Cam Jordan. Who? Who?
Is an Anchorman reference.
Jeez. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm saying Cam Jordan. No Bakhtiari, no EJ. Likely no Bakhtiari, I'm gonna say, because I'm not gonna say he's playing at any point anymore this season. We'll just cross that bridge on Sunday when we get there. I'm gonna say Cam Jordan with no Bakhtiari or EJ is gonna be probably a menace on the left side of that line. So hopefully whoever they throw out there, whether it's the platoon between was it Yash and Walker, or who they was it Nyman and Walker?
Yeah,
Okay, so
but it ended up being a lot more Walker snaps than you think.
it was.
I think
It was.
Nyman,
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of
12
Walker.
snaps. Yeah.
So hopefully he can hold up regardless, and we'll see how it goes out there. So that's mine is Cam Jordan. Score predictions. I think it's back to me now to start.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep predicting wins because I don't want to be that guy, but I am going to be that guy. 23 to 17 Packers. I think they end up crossing. They end up finishing that streak of scoring of the Saints not allowing.
We beat the streak.
That's right. Yeah, 23-17 Packers.
Last week I picked the Falcons.
You did. Traitor.
I did.
Look at you predicting Falcons wins and becoming right. Maybe we have you to blame. Maybe it's not the Packers. It's our trusty top co-host Jordan Chesky betraying the
No,
fandom.
it's the Packers.
It is the Packers.
They could have won that game. I had a lot better feeling about this game. Obviously after week one. That is the stupidest thing I've ever said. I've said a lot of stupid things. This is gonna be a nail biter.
It's gonna be a hard one.
23-20. Packers.
All right. You think they score one extra field goal,
Game-winning field goal.
or do they miss?
Anders.
Wow. You think?
What did you say?
I said maybe they miss an extra point. The Saints do.
That's true. Game-winning field goal. Anders Carlson.
That'd be pretty hype. That'd be pretty good for your agenda.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, that does it for us. It is now promo time. Buck season is approaching. Go check out the Euroset pod. Ty had an exclusive interview with new Wisconsin head coach Bino. How do you say his last name, Jordan? Do you know? Udre. For the Wisconsin Herd up in Oshkosh. He did some great reporting on that. That dropped today on Wednesday. Go check it out. It's pretty good. And while you're there, check out the NBA division preview for that Rohan and Ty did, previewing the Atlantic and Northwest conferences. The Brewers beat the Cardinals again tonight 5-2. Or no, 8-2. My apologies. After a big ninth inning with some insurance runs. So they will have the Cardinals.
Mutual.
Yep, sure. The Cardinals post series pod up on Friday when that series wraps Thursday afternoon. But in the meantime, if you wanted to check out the Miami Marlins pod series pod they put out this week, they talked about the Marlins losing 3-4 to the Brewers, but then they also dove into the recent news of the Brewers stadium funding debacle. So that is a good listen if you are a Milwaukee resident or just a Brewers fan in general. Go check out Adam and Andrew's analysis and discussion on that too. Plus, you get to hear the reaction to the Mark Cannon Grand Slam, which was hype.
I was there.
You were there. You got
I
shouted
was
out
there.
on Cruising for a Bruising.
Oh, look at that.
Yep, it's you're the good luck charm. You were there for all the Grand Slams this year. Not all of them, but the ones that were the most hype.
That matter.
Yep. Also, go check out Adam and Andrew and make time for this. I believe they'll be coming with a new episode soon. I'm not sure on what, but their last episode is still a fire. Christian Putzold and Paula Beer's return. So go check it out. Everything you can find at gspn.info. Our Twitters, our Instagrams, our TikTokies, all the pods, all that stuff. So we appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back again on Sunday for the post-game victory pod. I'm wishing it into existence. That's right. Wishing into existence. I got a funny look from Jordan there, audio listeners. that's why I had to repeat myself. So yes, thank you all for listening. And we'll talk to you again on Sunday. And Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.